Hi everyone, my name is Chloe. I'm a C6 quadriplegic and I'm going to show you today how I make carrot cake muffins. So the first thing I'm going to do is peel the carrot for the carrot cake muffins. The recipe says to use 1 3/4 cups of grated carrot. As you can see, I use what's called a palm peeler. I find this easier with my limited hand function. I then use the multi-function chopping board to secure the carrot while I cut off the ends. And I also use an adaptive chef knife to cut. It has a handle on it, just making it easier for me to use. And this same chopping board allows me to do all the grating as well. It's got quite a secure, sticky base, so it stays on the table while I can grate. And now I'm just putting it into my bowl. To be honest, I'm not even going to measure it. It looks good. And now I'm going to add the self-raising flour. It's 2.5 cups of self-raising flour. I'm using wholemeal. And I've got a 1/2 cup measure. So I need to measure out 5 of these to get 2.5 cups. I also should have put something on my lap. As you can see, I'm getting pretty dirty. But what's baking if you don't get a bit dirty? And now I decide to stop myself getting so dirty by putting a tea towel on my lap. Okay, so next is brown sugar. I use these adaptive scissors to kind of help me open packets. I still tend to use my teeth to help open things, but those scissors definitely help. So it was 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and brown sugar always needs to be firmly packed. Next is mixed spice. So I'm using those scissors again just to open up the packet, and it's just 1 teaspoon of mixed spice. Goes straight into the bowl. And some walnuts. I buy the crushed walnuts because I don't want to have to chop them myself. So that's just 1/2 cup going in there. If I were to buy whole walnuts, I would have had to cut them up a little bit finer because big chunks of walnut wouldn't go so well with this cupcake recipe. Now just giving it a stir. I find that I'm more stable with things directly on my lap rather than on the table. That's why I tend to put things on my lap. And now I'm just adding 1 egg, and it says, the recipe says to have the egg lightly beaten. So what I do, because I don't want to have to use another bowl, I'm just putting the egg straight in the middle. I'm just beating it a little bit inside the bowl with a fork. My spoon, with my spoon, and now I'm going to mix everything. And again, on my lap, more stable, directly in the middle, and then I've just got a spatula, just trying to mix it as best as possible. I'm a quadriplegic, so I don't have full strength in my arms, so just little by little, I'm trying to mix that as best as I can. Now I'm turning on my little oven here. I find it much more safe to use this little oven as I've got more control of opening the door. So now I'm just spooning the carrot cake cupcakes mix into the pan, and I put some spray oil on there just so they don't stick. I'm not going to fiddle with baking paper. I would just much prefer to put some oil straight into that pan. And now I'm going to open the oven door and put my cupcakes straight in there. The 6 cupcake holder fits perfectly in my little oven. And we're going to watch those little babies rise. And I also use, if you noticed, what's called a knob turner. So it just allows me to turn those little dials. Otherwise, again, it's very hard with fingers that aren't very dexterous. All right, next is the cream cheese icing, the best bit, I think. So opening the Philadelphia. For the icing, because it's not as important to have exact measurements, I did guess a lot of this, but if you want the recipe, it's 100 grams of the cream cheese, softened, so I've had that sitting out the whole time I was baking. But I know how many grams the tub is, so I know roughly what 100 grams is. And then it's just 75 grams of butter, which has also been sitting out the whole time I've been baking because it asks for it to be softened. So just adding that in together. And next is icing sugar mixture. Again, I had all of these packages closed or brand new because I wanted to show you exactly how I do things with limited hand function. So adaptive scissors, yeah, making a mess like usual. Adaptive scissors, I use my teeth. It might not be that hygienic, but these are only for me and my family, so they're not complaining. And it's just 1 1/4 cups of the icing mixture. So I'm going to measure that. So I'll put that in, and I'm going to use electric mixers to beat this, but I'm putting it in the multifunction chopping board because it holds the bowl in place. If I were to just put that on my lap, it might go everywhere. So putting it in that board does give it a lot more stability. So the icing sugar, as you can see, needs to be added gradually. So I had added some, now I'm going to add the rest. And using the electric mixers is very easy. Just a matter of turning it on. Mix the rest. So I can just mixes rather than trying to hold the bowl and the mixer at the same time. So I've got all my little cakes, and now I'm just going to spoon the icing on top. Nothing has to be too precise or too perfect. And cream cheese icing is so good in my opinion, so just lather it all on. If you wanted a variation, the recipe also says you can add some lemon rind. I didn't have any, so I didn't add it, but I don't think it needs it, especially with the walnuts. I am going to put some of those on top to finish it off. And again, the good thing about the walnuts being crumbed already is that I can just sprinkle them on top like you can see, and they are ready to eat. And I can tell you they were delicious. Highly, highly recommend this recipe. Please give it a go, even if you have limited hand function like me. They are very doable. Enjoy.